Olá, boa tarde a todos. Bom domingo, bom quase final de domingo para todas e todos. Obrigado por estar conosco em mais um lançamento de uma nova temporada de cursos na Academia Judaica. Esses cursos, dessa vez, estão num momento crucial, especialmente importante e desafiador para todas e todos nós, diante da guerra que infelizmente não acaba e dos reféns que infelizmente não se libertam, e alguns deles são assassinados, inclusive. Ah, o mundo como ele está, e nós já dentro do mês de Elul, o último mês do ano judaico, o mês da reflexão, dos perdões, das transformações, da introspecção. Diante de tudo isso, a Academia Judaica preparou especialmente 3 cursos com 3 rabinos e rabina e rabinos, que trazemos cada um de nós um pouco das diferentes questões de atualidade e ancestrais ao mesmo tempo. Então, sem mais delongas, vamos aproveitar para que cada um possa apresentar a vocês uma pequena degustação de que é o que vamos oferecer cada um de nós, nossos cursos novos, com a esperança de que tenham dificuldade em escolher e acabem aproveitando os
And
3.
I hope you
Queremos
enjoyed the
lembrar
three.
a todas e
Rabbi, I'm
todos
back. I'm
que,
sorry, my internet is the one that had a
embora
problem now.
a Rabina Kelita e
I
eu
would
vamos falar em
like
português, o
to
Rabino Joseph vai
say
falar em
that
inglês,
me
e,
and Kalita
portanto,
will speak
os que
Portuguese and
estão na
Rabbi
sala de
Joseph will
Zoom
speak
têm
English.
uma
Those
das
who are
opções
at
lá
the Zoom
embaixo,
link,
uma
one
forma
of
de
the options
mundinho,
that you
se
have
não
is a
não lembro,
globe where you can
clica lá e aí
click
pode
on
escolher a
and
língua,
choose
pode
the
escutar diretamente em
language in
inglês ou
which you are
pode
going to
escolher
listen.
escutar em
And you can
português, que é
choose
uma
to listen in
tradução
English or
profissional
Portuguese.
simultânea,
We have a
especialmente
simultaneous professional interpretation,
contratada para que seja
especially
mais
hired
confortável para quem
to be
precisar ou
more
preferir.
comfortable for
E os que
those who
estão
would
nas
like.
outras transmissões, os que não
The
estão
people in the
nessa sala de
other
Zoom, também lá,
transmissions that are not
certo?
in the
Existe
Zoom,
uma opção
there is an
para
option
escolher uma língua ou outra.
of choosing
Então,
one language or
fiquem
the other.
atentos. Primeiro de tudo, então, Rabina Kelita, boa tarde,
First of all,
executiva,
Rabbi Kelita, good
diretora executiva da
afternoon.
Academia Judaica, Rabina também, doutora em
Executive of the
psicologia,
Jewish Academy, a
teve
rabbi,
uma
a doctor in
experiência bem
psychology,
especial
with
em
a
Israel,
very
visitou
important experience in
alguns dos
Israel.
cenários
Recently, she
terríveis
visited
e
some of the
estudou
horrible scenarios,
especialmente
and she
a poesia
studied
escrita
specifically the
ao
written
redor do 7 de
poetry
outubro por
around
vítimas
the
parciais, claro,
October
as vítimas
7th
totais,
by the
infelizmente,
some of
temos que
the
nos conectar com
victims,
elas através
right?
da espiritualidade e da fé.
Most of them we can only
Mas
connect through
vítimas
with
que estão
faith and
conosco,
spirituality.
parentes de
But
sequestrados
victims
e
that are with
de,
us,
e de
families of the people who have
vítimas
been
fatais,
kidnapped, and
escreveram
families
uma
of
poesia
fatal
inédita.
victims,
Muitas delas
they
se
wrote
conectam, inclusive, com o acervo
poetry,
judaico
and they
tradicional e
connect
moderno,
to the
novas
traditional
leituras.
Jewish uh,
E entendo que uma
literature
seleção
with new
desses
readings. And I
textos
believe that a
únicos,
selection of these
aos quais
unique
ninguém tem
texts
acesso,
that
é o que
nobody
você vai
has
nos oferecer,
access
certo? Nos
to.
conte um pouquinho, que foi o que
Please tell us a little bit
escolheu, como
about this
escolheu,
experience.
o que
How
tem de
did you
particular,
choose?
não somente o
And
material,
what
mas o modo
is
como você,
specific about
com
the
suas
way
características,
that
vai
you
nos presentear
that you
com esse
will
material.
explain to us with this
Bom,
material?
boa tarde. Boa
Good
tarde a todas e
afternoon.
todos.
Good
Obrigada, Rabino Ruben,
afternoon,
pela
everyone.
apresentação.
Thank you, Rabbi Ruben, for the
Realmente
introduction.
a viagem, a
This
imersão em julho
this trip
deste
in
ano a
July
Israel
to Israel
foi muito
was
mobilizadora
very
e a
mobilizing,
poesia foi entre
and poetry
tantas experiências,
was among
foi
so
uma
many
que
experience
me
was
ajudou
one that
a
has
fazer
helped
sentido,
me
a
to make
elaborar
sense, to
toda a
elaborate
experiência,
all
toda
the
a dor,
experience,
a
all the
vivência
pain,
que
all,
até
all,
então
all the
estava inominada.
experiences that were not
Logo na
named
primeira
thus far.
semana depois do 7 de
In the
outubro,
first
a
week
prédica
after
da
October
Rabina Angela
7th,
Buchdahl na Central
Rabbi
Synagogue de
Angela
Nova York.
Buchdahl from the
A
Central
prédica dela
Synagogue in
começou
New
com
York, her
em
predict
milim.
started with Ein Milim.
Não tínhamos palavras.
We didn't
Esse
have
foi o
words.
silêncio
This
avassalador que a
was the
experiência do 7
astounding
de outubro
silence that
deixou
the
em
experience
todos nós.
of October 7th
E
left in each one
é
of us.
muito a ausência de palavras. Eu,
The
como
absence
psicóloga,
of words. As a
a gente
psychologist,
utiliza a palavra
we
como uma
usually
ferramenta
use the
terapêutica.
word as
E a
our
gente
therapeutic
precisa
tool,
falar
and
para
we
que a
need
gente
to
mesmo
speak
possa se ouvir
so that
e
we
possa conseguir
ourselves can hear ourselves
processar,
and
entender o que
be
está
able to
acontecendo
process and
dentro de
understand
nós em
what's
relação ao que acontece
happening
fora de
inside
nós.
us in
E
relation
as
to what's
palavras não
happening
estavam
outside
ali.
us. And the
E o
words
fato
were
das
not
palavras
there.
não estarem
And the fact
ausentes,
that the words
a
were
dor,
absent
ela
made
continua
the pain
pulsando, latente e sem
continues, the
a
pain
possibilidade de
is
ser processada.
throbbing
E
and
foi
with
aí
no
que
possibility of being
os
processed.
começaram
And that
a
was
sair
when
2 semanas depois,
2
3
weeks
semanas depois do
later,
7 de
3 weeks
outubro,
later, after the October
Facebook,
7th,
Instagram, começou
we started to
e
see on
os
Facebook and
jornais,
Instagram
o
and
Haaretz,
some
o Jerusalem
newspapers
Post,
such as
começaram a
Athens and
publicar
Jerusalem Post. They started
poesias de
publishing
pessoas,
poetry by
cidadãos
people,
israelenses,
by
que de alguma maneira
Israeli
começavam
citizens who somehow
digerir,
started
ruminar
to
toda aquela
digest
emoção, todo aquele
all that
sentimento. E
emotion,
aí
all
foi
those
quando
feelings.
grupo
And that's
de
when a group
pesquisadores
of
encabeçados
researchers
pela
headed
professora
by
Rachel Corazin,
Professor
que é
Rachel
uma
Corazin,
educadora e
an
doutora
educator
em
and a doctor
filosofia e
in
também em
philosophy
literatura
and
e
also
linguagem.
literature and language.
Ela começou a recolher,
She
sabe quando você
started
faz essa
to
coleção de
gather,
recortes
to
de
start
jornal e
gathering
colecionar monte
clippings
de
like you do from
novas
newspapers,
poesias, de
but
novos
gathering
poetas,
new
de pessoas
poetry
até
from new
então
poets
anônimas.
that
E
so
começou a
far
fazer
were
contato com essas
anonymous.
pessoas para
And she
perguntar:
started to
quem é você?
contact these people to
Quem
ask
te
them
levou a
who they were
escrever
and
essas
what
poesias?
drove them to
E
write
eu fiz
that
curso com ela
poetry. I
no Shalom
took a
Hartman
course with
Institute,
her in
agora em
the Shalom
Jerusalém.
Hartman
E eu
Institute
tive
in
contato com esse
Jerusalem,
material
and I had
também, que ela
contact with
selecionou,
this
que inclusive
material that
agora
she
está
had
sendo
selected,
lançado o
that
livro
now is going to be
Shivá,
published. The
Poesias
book is
do
called
7 de
Shiva,
outubro.
Poetries
E
from October
alguns desses
7,
poemas fazem
and some
parte
of
da
these
seleção
poems
de
are part of
poesias
the
que
selection of
compõem esse
poetry
curso.
that
Então,
compose this
para que
course.
vocês tenham uma pequena
So,
ideia,
for
se
you
me
to have
permite,
an
Rabino Ruben,
idea,
eu
Rabbi
trouxe
Ruben,
dos
I
poemas.
I
Eu acho que a
brought
melhor
one
forma de
poem to share with you.
contar
I
para
think it's
vocês,
the
já que
best
essa aula
way to
aberta
let you
é uma
know,
aula que não é só para
since
contar
this open class is not just to
como vai
share
ser, mas também
what
para dar uma
it's going to
degustação.
be, but
Então, eu trouxe
also to
dos
give you a
poemas
taste of the classes to come,
e,
right? So I brought
e
some
cada vez que eu
poems,
o leio, ele me
a
mobiliza.
poem that every time I
O nome
read,
do
I feel
poema
mobilized. The name of the poem is Choshech al Pnei Hom.
A escuridão
Choshech
sobre a face do
is the
abismo.
darkness
Esse
in
é
face of
texto,
the
esse
abyss.
título é
This
texto
title,
da
it refers to a
Torá,
text
na
by in the
descrição em
Torah, a
Bereshit,
text
da
from the
descrição
Torah,
da
in the
criação,
description of
quando
Bereshit of the
tudo
creation,
era
when
caótico
everything
e as
was
coisas vão ser
chaotic
criadas.
and things
E
were about to be created.
antes, eu não sei se eu conto para vocês
I
primeiro
don't know
sobre
if
o
I first
poeta,
tell about the
sobre o que
poet
levou a
and
escrever,
what drove
ou
him
se eu
to
vou
write
direto ao
this, or if
poema
I
primeiro
go
para deixar
straight to the
vocês
poem
terem a
to let
experiência
you
mobilizadora
experience
e depois
have this mobilizing
Eu
experience.
voto
Do you
pela
think?
segunda.
pela
I vote for
segunda.
the
Então
second
vamos
Eu
option.
diretamente ao
prefiro
poema.
a
Okay,
eternidade
yes, I prefer
e a
the
atemporalidade
eternity
da
and the
obra
timelessness of
antes
the
da
work
materialização da
before the
história
materialization
psique
of
do
the
personagem.
story of the psyche
Ótimo.
of the
Tá? Mas eu
characters.
acho
That's
que
my
tem
point.
detalhe,
Well,
então, que eu
there is
preciso
just one
antecipar,
thing that I need
que
to tell you
porque
guys in
o
advance.
autor Tsurgeta,
why the
ele
author
começa falando
Tsurgeta,
sobre
why he starts
algo que ele
talking
viveu
about
aos
something
8
that
anos de
he
idade,
lived when he was 8 years
na
old
primeira aula de Torá
in his first
da
Torah
segunda série,
class
do segundo ano dos
on
anos
the
iniciais da
second
escola.
grade of the first years of school.
Eu acho que é
contextualização, mas já
Now we have a
somente com o título
context,
"Rosh Chalpnei
but
Tehom"
just the
significa é a
title
frase
is
como
already
todos
a
devem lembrar,
sentence
Bereshit
that
bara
you all
Elohim et Hashamayim
remember.
v'aretz.
You
No
all should
princípio
remember, right?
criou Deus os céus e a terra.
First, God created the earth and the heavens, and the earth was chaos and darkness over the abyss.
Agora vamos ver do que se trata.
Now let's see what
Vamos
it is
lá.
about. Let's start.
Certa vez, minha morá Michal nos
Once,
perguntou:
Mia Moral
pode me
Michal
dizer o
asked us,
significado do
who can
versículo
tell us the meaning of
Ve'aretz
the verse?
Aitá
Vea Ares
tovavou
Aita Tolvavo
Behosher al pnei tehom.
Behosher Alpmate on.
A terra era caos
A
e confusão,
The earth
com
was
com
chaos and
escuridão sobre a
confusion,
face do abismo.
with darkness over
Ao
the
longo de
face of the
todos
abyss.
esses anos,
Throughout
desde
all
então
the
até
years
hoje,
since
essa
then to this
pergunta
day,
ecoou dentro
this
de mim.
question has echoed
Os olhos
inside
da
me.
Morá, buscando
The
uma mão
eyes of the
levantada,
Mora, looking
ecoaram
for
em mim.
a raised hand,
Aquele
echoed
silêncio
in me.
arrebatador
That
continuou ecoando em
deafening
mim.
silence
No dia
continued
7 de
echoing
outubro,
in me. On
o
October
tilintar do
7,
telefone
the
ecoou no
phone
silêncio da casa da Morá
ringed
Michal.
in the silence
Zé
of the
Ani,
Mora Michal
Amarte,
house.
sou
Zé
eu.
Ani Amarte, it's me.
Ineatou vavou.
Ineatou
Isto
vavô.
é o caos e a
This
confusão.
is chaos and confusion.
Inearrocher.
Inea
Aí está o
Rocher.
abismo, aí está a
There
escuridão,
is
Ineat
the darkness.
Aí
Ineat home.
o abismo.
There the
Shalom.
abyss. Shalom.
Uau. É isso. Esse é o
Wow.
poema.
Esse é o poema.
That's the poem. Yes,
E
this is the
aqui
poem.
a gente começa.
And here
Então,
we
Já
start.
entendemos o que vai se tratar o
Yeah,
curso.
we understood what the course is about.
O poema,
The poem,
aquelas palavras, essas
those
palavras,
words, these words,
Tovavou,
Tolva Vo,
Rocher Alpnei Tehom.
Rocher
Essas
Alpneit
palavras, elas são
Om.
traduzidas de várias
These
maneiras.
words, they can
Tem
be
discussões
translated in
imensas.
different
Todos
ways.
os
There are
anos
several
a gente encontra
discussions.
vários
Every
especialistas
year we find a
discutindo sobre
different
o
specialist
significado
discussing
dessas
the
palavras.
meaning of
E
those
eu trouxe
words.
a tradução
And I
em
brought the translation
peguei 3
in
versões da
three.
Torá na
I got
biblioteca em casa e
3
falei,
versions
eu
of the
vou trazer
Torah
uma
in my
pequena
library
amostra.
and thought, let me bring a little
No
sample.
Gunther Plaut, que é
In
a Torá que a
Gunther
gente tem
Plaut,
aqui,
which
diz,
is the Torah
a
that
terra
we
era
have here, it
caos
says, the
amorfa,
earth was
e
an
sobre a face
amorphous
caótica das
chaos,
águas
and
havia
over the
escuridão.
chaotic face of the waters there was
Na
darkness.
Bíblia hebraica do Jairo
On the
Friedman,
Hebrew
com
Bible of Jairo
David
Freedom,
Gorovitch,
with
diz,
David
a
Gorovit,
terra era sem
it
forma e
says,
vazia,
the earth
e havia
was
escuridão
empty
sobre a
and
face do
shapeless,
abismo. Então
and
aqui a
there
gente já tem
was
caos,
darkness over the face of the abyss.
amorfa,
So
algo
here
sem
we
forma,
have
amorfa,
something without a form,
sem forma e
right?
vazia.
Oh,
E
empty
de
and
Daniel
formless.
Kolodenko,
And from
ou
Daniel
Bereshit, ele
Kolodenko
diz,
or Bereshit,
mientras
we
la tierra
see,
se hallaba
mientras,
desolada
while
e
the earth was
informe.
desolate
Então,
and without a shape.
desolada é a mesma coisa em
So
português.
desolate is the same thing
La
in
oscuridad
Portuguese,
prevalecia sobre la
and
faz del abismo.
darkness was
A gente tem
prevalent over the
aqui
face of the
uma
abyss.
ideia
So here we
do que
have
essas palavras
an
estão
idea of
dizendo,
what
mas a
these
gente não
words are
consegue
saying,
entender
but we
exatamente o que
cannot
isso
really
significa
understand
até que
what
uma
they mean
experiência
until an
consegue dar
experience is able
significado a
to
essas
bring
palavras.
meaning to these
E
words.
por outro lado, a
On the other
experiência
hand, the
não tinha
experience
forma enquanto ela
was
não tinha
shapeless
palavra para descrevê-la.
until there was
Então,
words to
não
describe
apenas
it. So not
o
only
texto da Torá
does the text of
vem
the Torah
dar significado, dar
come to bring
contorno à
meaning,
àquele
to give
caos,
shape to
àquela
the pain, to
experiência,
that chaos, to that
como também
experience,
o texto
but
que estava
also
vazio de
the
sentido
text
para
that
nós
was empty in
passou a
terms
ter um
of
sentido.
meaning now had
E
a
é
meaning.
essa
And it
relação,
is
né,
this relation
que a expressão, essa
that
conversa
this
da
expression, this
poesia com o
conversation
texto sagrado vai
between
acontecer
the
ao longo do
poetry
curso
and the
todo,
sacred
com
text is going
textos da
to happen
liturgia.
all
A
throughout the
pergunta que o
course
Rabino Ruben fez
with
no
texts
primeiro
from the
curso da
liturgy
academia,
and the
logo
questions that
depois do 7 de
Rabbi
outubro,
Ruben
que ele
asked in the
perguntou
first course that we have
onde estava
after
Deus no
October
7 de
7.
outubro.
He asked, where
Essa
was
pergunta vai
God in
aparecer
October
em
7?
vários dos
This
poemas, mas
question will
não
show
com
up in
essa
several of
palavra.
the poems,
Às
but
vezes,
not with
é
those
justamente
words.
retirando Deus do
Sometimes
poema,
is by
do
removing
texto.
God from the
Às vezes,
text.
é
That is
trazendo o
exactly,
texto da liturgia que a
sometimes
gente
it's bringing
fala
the text
e
from the
buscando
liturgy that we
onde
mention,
está
that
o
we
milagre.
speak, and trying to look
Deus
for
estava
where
em
is the
Shabat nesse
miracle.
dia?
Was
Afinal de contas,
God
era
under
Shabat.
Shabbat on that day? Because it
E
was
tudo
Shabbat.
isso é o que a gente vai
And this is what we are going
conseguir tentar
to
dar forma e
try
dar
and
contorno à
shape,
nossa experiência também.
trying to shape our experience as
Maravilhoso.
well. That's wonderful, Kelita.
Rabina Kelita, acho que
Rabbi
escolhi
Kelita,
uma,
I think I
texto
chose
super
a
representativo
text.
desse
I think you
começo.
chose a very representative
Mal
text,
posso esperar para ver qual é o
and I
fim
can hardly
desse
wait
curso e dessa
to see,
seleção
to
de
participate in
poemas.
this course and see
Realmente,
the selection of poems,
silêncio que traz
the
palavras
silence
e
that
palavras
brings
que
words and words
conseguem
that are able
transmitir o silêncio.
to
E
transmit this
realmente
silence. And it's truly,
vemos aí como a
we see
liturgia e a
there
Bíblia
how
se
liturgy
redefinem,
and the
se
Bible
reexplicam
are
através
redefined, are
da experiência,
re-explained
neste caso,
through the
das mais
experience,
trágicas
in
que já
this
tivemos.
case, one of the
Né?
most
Porque ele
tragic that
diz
we had.
que essa
Because it
escuridão, que
says that
essa
this darkness,
desolação é o 7 de
this
outubro.
desolation
Né?
is the 7th
Eis-me
of
aqui.
October.
Até agora não
Here
sabia o
I
que
am.
era,
So
agora
far,
sei.
didn't even know what that
Essa
was, and
leitura
now we
dele,
do,
aparentemente,
right?
que traz
This reading of
com,
his
com esse
that
poema escrito naquele
brings this
momento.
poem that was
Desde
written
que
at
era
such
criança, não
time.
sabia que era
Since he
tou,
was a
vavorvo,
child, he didn't
roche
know
e terror.
exactly
As
what
quatro palavras que
those
você
words
muito bem
meant,
nos
right?
lembrou,
These four
que
words that you
leva
have read.
muito
And
tempo
these
até os
words
nossos
take
dias
a
para
long
ser
time until
elucidadas
today
e
to be
definidas
elucidated and
e se
defined.
misturam caos,
And they are mixed, they are mixed to one
amorfa,
another because they
desolação,
have no form, right?
abismo.
There is
Ele diz,
desolation in
tudo
the
isso é
abyss.
o que
All of
voltou,
that
o que
is what
foi
has
revelado
come back,
na
or what
tragédia
has been
do massacre
revealed
do 7 de outubro.
in the tragedy of the massacre of the
Ok,
October 7th.
eu confesso que até esse
I
poema,
have
não
to
somente até o 7
confess
de
that
outubro,
this
até esse
poem,
poema, eu queria pensar
not
que
up
a
to the 7th of
escuridão
October, but
prévia
up
à
to
luz da criação era
this
outra.
moment, I thought that
E esta é uma
this
leitura
darkness
devastadora,
that
mas que
I
talvez
don't
nos
know,
leve
this
por
is a
outros
very
caminhos
devastating
de
reading that
reconstrução.
may lead
Se
us
me
to new
permite só a
paths of
gente colocar
reconstruction. If
o,
you allow me, I would
pequeno
like
vídeo de 1 minuto
to
sobre o curso.
play a very short video about
Durante o
the
curso, nós
course.
vamos trabalhar, os
During the
poemas
course,
foram
we're
todos
going to work
escritos em
with the
hebraico.
poems. The poems were all written
Nós
in
temos
Hebrew,
também uma tradução
but we
deles
do
ao
have a
inglês por
translation to
especialistas
English that
e temos
was
também a
done by
tradução dele ao
experts,
português. E é
and we
muito
have the
interessante,
translation to
quem aqui trabalha
Portuguese
com
as well.
tradução,
But those here
temos
who
a
work
professora
with
Fedra aqui
translation, we
conosco,
have Professor Fedra
que
here with
também
us
sabe
as
muito
well.
bem. A
She
tradução
knows it
também
very well.
é um outro
Translation
texto. E a gente
is
vai analisar
another
cada um. Por
text,
exemplo, ele termina
and
aqui
we are
com
going to analyze each
Shalom.
one of that. He finishes
E
here with
na
Shalom,
tradução ao inglês foi
but in the
traduzido
translation
como
to English, it was
goodbye.
translated as
E
goodbye.
era uma ligação
And it
telefônica.
was a
Ele ligar para a
phone call.
professora para dizer:
He was calling his
agora eu
professor
sei
to
o que
say,
você
now
perguntou.
I
A
know
ausência das
the
mãos
answer to what you
levantadas,
asked.
aquele
The
silêncio da sala de
absence
aula,
of the
agora eu
raised
tenho a
hands,
resposta.
that silence in the classroom.
24
Now I
anos
have the
depois eu
answer.
consigo te dar uma
24
resposta.
years
E
later,
aí
I
ele
can
diz:
give you an
Shalom.
answer. And the
Mas
answer,
Shalom
and then he says
é
shalom.
uma
But
despedida,
shalom is
mas
goodbye.
também o que
But
aconteceu
it's
com a
also
professora,
what
nós
happened
não
to the
sabemos.
teacher. We don't know.
se ela foi uma das vítimas do
We
7
don't know
de
if she
outubro.
was one of the
Se,
victims of October
essa
7.
ligação,
We don't know if
ela
that
foi uma
phone
daquelas
call
ligações que
was
aconteceram
one of
de
those phone
dentro
calls that
do
happened
quarto
from
de segurança,
inside
de dentro
the
dos
safety
lugares onde a
room
gente já não
or the
poderia mais
places where we had no
resposta. E
access
aí
or
o
get
lugar da
answers
paz,
anymore.
esse
So the
lugar
place
dessa
of
paz
peace, this place
Fora do
for
mundo.
peace,
fora.
it's
Ou talvez
outside the
somente no
world.
abismo. Só na
Maybe
escuridão.
only in
Será?
the abyss,
Só na
maybe
desolação.
in darkness, only in desolation.
Muito para estudar
It's a lot.
desses,
It's a
desses
lot for us to
poemas,
study
de sua
on these
seleção,
poems
de sua
and in the
interpretação,
selection,
e do judaísmo
with your
que foi
selection, and
revelado nesses
also
poemas que vai trazer a
Judaism
Rabina
that
Kelita.
is revealed
Vamos ver o vídeo então,
in
Natan,
these
por favor.
poems. Nathan, please, let's watch the video.
Enwilim, sem palavras. Esta foi a mensagem que ficou ressoando e
Enwilim,
ecoando nas
with
primeiras
no
2
words. This
semanas
was
que
the
se seguiram
message
ao
that
7 de
echoed in the
outubro.
first 2 weeks that came after October 7.
Até que o trauma começou aos
Until
poucos
the
a ser
trauma
traduzido em
started
palavras
to
através
be
de poetas
translated
até
into
então
words
anônimos.
by poets so far anonymous.
A poesia deu forma às
The
emoções
poetry gave
cruas da
shape
tragédia,
to
sendo
the
o
raw
ponto de partida
emotions
para
of
a
the tragedy
compreensão
and
e a
became the
elaboração da
starting point
experiência
for the
dolorosa.
comprehension and the elaboration of the painful experience.
Eu trouxe de Israel uma
I
seleção
brought
desses
from
poemas
Israel a
publicados nas redes
selection of
sociais e
poems
nos
that have
jornais
been
israelenses.
published
Em 4
in the
aulas, nós
news
veremos
media and the
versos de
social media.
resistência, de
In 4
discussão com
classes, we
outros
will
textos
see
da teologia e
several
da liturgia
verses of
judaica, em
resistance that
atos de
communicate with the
resistência e também
liturgy
de
text
afirmação
in
do
acts of
pertencimento.
resistance and affirmation of belonging.
Versos de resiliência, a poesia depois da
Verbs of
tempestade.
resilience,
Espero você
the
no novo
poetry
curso
after
da
the
Academia
storm.
Judaica.
I wait for you in this new course of the Jewish Academy.
Muito bem, ótimo. E
Excellent.
agora vamos a outro aspecto.
Now, let's
isto
talk
que estamos
about another
vivendo todos.
aspect of what
Estados
we are
Unidos é o
all going
país da
through.
democracia,
The United
das
States is the country
liberdades,
of
dos
democracy,
direitos
of
humanos
freedom, of
e da
human
defesa de
rights,
Israel.
and the defense of
Estados
Israel.
Unidos concorre
The
com Israel
United States
por quem é
is
o país com mais
competing with
judeus.
Israel, with the country with more,
Quem
largest
escreve
Jewish
mais a
population,
história
and who
dos
writes
judeus e
more
do
the
judaísmo.
history of the Judaism and the
Podíamos
Jewish people.
acreditar até agora que,
We could believe
bom,
thus far
como
that this
Babilônia
was
em
good.
Jerusalém, na época do
It was
Talmud.
like Babylon in Jerusalem in
muitos,
the
de
time of the
fato,
Talmud. Several
acreditaram,
at the
acreditam até
time
hoje.
believed in
Só que
that
nisso
to
é
this
onde
day.
nós nos defendemos e
However, this
de
is where
repente nos
we
Estados
defend
Unidos, onde
ourselves and
inclusive nos lugares
in the United
mais
States, in
libertários
the most
e mais
libertarian places
iluminados,
and the most, I don't know,
e onde mais se
illuminated
defendem os
places
direitos humanos,
where they
os judeus têm
defend
que se
human
esconder, que
rights,
são as
the most
universidades.
Jewish people have to hide, that are the
Nos Estados
universities
Unidos,
in the
acontecem
United
nas
States.
universidades uma
It's happening
perseguição
in the
direta aos
universities,
judeus,
a direct
como não
persecution to
existe em nenhuma
Jewish
outra parte do
people
mundo.
as we don't see anywhere
Apesar
else
de
in the
tudo que
world,
seja dito por todos os políticos.
despite of what has been said by the
Rabino Joseph
politicians.
Edelheit, amigo,
Rabbi Joseph
colega e
Edelheit,
também
a
acadêmico,
friend, a colleague,
vai
and
nos trazer
also an
alguns
academic,
bons
is
insights sobre
going
isso.
to
Lembramos
bring us
então os
some
que
good
estão em casa,
insights about that.
na
So people who are
transmissão,
home in the
seja por YouTube,
transmission,
ou seja
by
no
YouTube
Facebook,
or
e
in
também os que
Facebook,
estão dentro da sala,
the
se
ones that are in the
preferirem
room, if you
escutá-lo
prefer
em
to
inglês
listen
diretamente,
to
tem
the
essa
rabbi in
opção.
English
Se
directly,
preferirem
you have this
tradução
option, and
simultânea,
if you prefer
também tem essa
simultaneous
opção,
translation, you do
clicando
have the
no lugar
option,
certo.
clicking on the
Rabino
correct
Joseph,
channel.
a palavra é com
Rabbi
você.
Joseph,
E
the
é o que
floor
vai
is
nos trazer
yours.
para poder
What do you
elucidar
bring us
o que
to
está
try and
acontecendo nesse
elucidate
momento nos Estados
what's
Unidos,
happening in the
que é o
United
cenário
States?
aparentemente mais
That for
seguro e
us was
tranquilo,
apparently the safest
depois ou
place
antes de Israel?
before and after.
Thank you for the opportunity to attempt to bring you some insight. You offered insight. It's Elul. And during Elul, we blow the shofar. We blow the shofar in order to prepare that we hear it on Rosh Hashanah. We blow it every day in order to get ready to hear it on Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to take 4 sessions to prepare you to think about the complex issues differently. I am not going to give you set, certain answers. I'm going to give you a framework and help you learn some new definitions. We're going to begin with perspective and context. Last week, I thought that we should cancel this course. I thought we should cancel it because of the rage and grief with which we would begin the course. We have been triggered back to October 7th. 11 months, it's not over. 750,000 Israelis were on the street last night. We don't live there. Many of us have family, friends, connections, but we take what's happening there through our filter of living in the diaspora. We here in Brazil read, listen, engage in terms and ideas that are filters for Israel, the US, and Europe. We must be able to discuss openly the complexity, the political issues, the question of freedom of speech, academic freedom. Have we been surprised by what the Brazilian Supreme Court has decided regarding X and Musk? What does that have to do with my course? Because social media is a conveyance of hatred of Jews. It conveys disinformation. This past week in America, a podcast millions heard revised the Holocaust, changing history. The Republican candidates have not in any way spoken out about Tucker Carlson. What is a Jew's responsibility living in the complex ambiguity of today? Rabbi Ruben said, America was to be the place we thought we could achieve the greatest freedom. I was a university professor harassed by those who helped as faculty advisors to Students for a Free Palestine. My courses were boycotted because I was the angry Zionist professor. And that was 15 years ago, before October 7th. The courses I taught are no longer taught. What does the Anti-Defamation League the American Jewish Committee, the United States Congress, how do they teach us the meaning of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism? Are we to vote on the basis of what we feel secures the greatest Jewish safety? Is that Jewish safety for Americans or Israelis? When you listen to the shofar later, when you say Kaddish for the 6 who were martyred, would you be afraid to wear a yarmulke, a Star of David, outside on the street? That is happening in Brazil, Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles. Jews do not feel safe. And that is a direct result of the acts of terrorism committed by Hamas. My goal is to engage you in complex questions, learning the limits of language, and to give each of us an opportunity to better understand the difficulties we will face in the days and months ahead. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to learn with you and to have you share in what it means to be a safe Jew, regardless of the difficulties we face.
Muito obrigado, Rabino Joseph. Talvez seria interessante também
Thank you,
saber se
Rabbi
você
Joseph. I think it would be
quais são as
interesting
fontes
to
de
know
informação
what are
você
the
tem
sources
que
of
vão
information
muito
that
além
you have
das
that
poucas que nós
go
temos,
beyond
de
the
algum
very
modo para
few
que
sources of
nossa
information that we
audiência
have,
entenda
so that
por
our
que
audience can
este
understand
curso
why this
é
course
inusitado, é diferente de
is
simplesmente
different
sentar
than
e ler a
simply sitting
imprensa
down and
ou
reading what's
as
in the
redes
press
sociais.
or social media.
Entendemos que para
We
começar
understand that
teremos
in
sua
order to
análise
start,
de
we will have
de
your
judeu
analysis
americano,
of
líder,
as an
rabino,
American Jew that's a
professor
leader, a rabbi, a
e que
professor,
mora hoje em dia
and
no
that
Brasil.
today lives in
Mas além
Brazil.
disso,
But in
imagino
addition
que
to
você tem
that, I
outros
imagine
contatos
that
por
you
aí que
have
consegue
other
saber
contacts around and
o
you
que não
may be able
necessariamente
to
se
know
publica
what is not
nas redes sociais
necessarily
e na imprensa.
published
É
in
isso?
social media and in the press. Is that it?
Yes, we will use the websites and the information directly from the data, which is studied by the Anti-Defamation League, the American Jewish Committee, as well as the Institute for the Study of Contemporary Anti-Semitism at the University of Indiana. We will be using academic papers that raise the question, is there a limit to the democratic value of free speech? Is there a limit to what professors and students can expect of each other at a university today?
Considerando que o Rabino
Taking
Joseph
into account that Rabbi
consegue,
Joseph
ele traz
is
da sua
able to bring
experiência
from his
a
experience
compreensão
this
da sociedade
understanding
americana
of the
e
American
também pelo seu
society,
tempo de
but also
brasilidade,
due to his
ele
time in
consegue também
Brazil,
fazer a
he is able
ponte
to
com
create a
a nossa
bridge
realidade e a
with
sociedade
our
brasileira, ou seja,
reality, with the
quais os
Brazilian
elementos, a gente tem tido
society,
essa
which
discussão
means
hoje em dia
what
aqui
are
no
the elements?
Brasil
We've had
sobre
that
os
discussion here
limites
in
da
Brazil
liberdade de
about the
expressão,
limits of
né? A
the
liberdade de
freedom of
expressão como um
speech,
direito
freedom of
fundamental,
speech as
entre os
a
direitos
fundamental
humanos
right
e
that's part
o
of
discurso de
human
ódio.
rights,
Até que
and
ponto o
hate
discurso de
speech.
ódio
How
ele deve
far
ser
can
permitido no
hate
marco
speech be
da
allowed
liberdade de expressão. E essa é uma discussão
within
muito
this
grande que
freedom
acontece hoje nos Estados
expression?
Unidos.
This is a
E
discussion in the United States
esse
today,
acesso, esse
and this
conhecimento,
access, this
o Rabino Joseph
knowledge,
vai poder trazer
Rabbi
para a gente de uma
Joseph will
forma
be
muito
able
mais
to bring to
apropriada. E quem
us
esteve
in
com
a
ele no
more
curso anterior,
appropriate
que
manner.
ele
Who was
ofereceu
with
na
him in the
Academia
previous
Judaica
course
sabe a
at the
clareza das
Jewish
suas ideias
Academy
e a
knows
forma
how
como ele
clear
traz
he can be
uma
when
maneira
expressing his
única de
ideas,
apresentar
and how he
uma
presents
questão
this
que
topic
está
in a
sendo
very unique way,
apresentada
an issue
diariamente no
that is
cotidiano.
being presented on our day-to-day life.
Ele foi
Undoubtedly.
humilde e trouxe
And
só
he
os
was not
recortes,
humble.
digamos,
He
os
didn't
aspectos
bring
muito
just
oficiais e
the most
acadêmicos, como esses
official
institutos que ele mencionou,
aspects,
mas
such
todos
as the
sabemos que
institutes that
ele
he said, but we
conserva
know
contato
that
muito
he keeps
único
in
e muito fluido
contact
com a
with a
população
fluid contact
americana como
with
todo,
the American
judaica em
population,
particular,
especially the
política, porque ele
Jewish
foi rabino
population, the
muito atuante
political population, because he acted
diversos
a
fóruns
lot in
políticos,
Na
several
Casa Branca,
political
na Casa Branca ele
forums,
esteve,
including the
e
White House.
também
Yes, he was part of the
em
White
fóruns
House,
de diálogo
and
interreligioso
also
político também,
interreligious
e
dialogue forums as
também
well.
com colegas
And
dele
in addition
que,
to his
diferente dele,
colleagues,
não
it's
emigraram ao Brasil e
different.
continuam
They
sim
didn't come to
ensinando
Brazil, right? They are
na
still teaching
universidade
in the
americana, nas
universities in the
universidades
United
americanas,
States, right?
sejam eles judeus
So
ou
he's
não,
still in
e
contact with
tratem
them,
eles
the
assuntos
Jewish,
judaicos ou
the,
não.
the
Então,
ones who are not Jewish,
o
the ones who
acesso
care
a
about
uma
Jewish issues or
informação
not. So the
muito mais
access
próxima e
to
muito
this
mais
information
humanizadora,
that it's
humana,
more
individual,
humanizing
pessoal,
in
vai
certain
ser único,
aspects,
além da
and it
análise
will
que vai
be
ser única
unique.
e que
In
também vai
addition
ter,
to his
claro, muitos
analysis
aspectos
and of
acadêmicos.
course,
Vamos então ao terceiro
all the
curso?
academic aspects. So
Vi
third
que,
course, so what is
desculpa, não
the
vamos
third?
ao
Oh,
terceiro curso,
sorry, no, we
ficamos
don't
ainda
go
no
to the
segundo
third course.
e
We are
vamos ver o
still in the
vídeo.
second
Obrigado.
course.
Para
We
isso
have to
tem
see
aqui
the
o vídeo.
video
Rabina,
now.
doutora
Let's
e
watch
executiva da
the
Academia.
video.
Um aluno de 15 anos foi vítima de antissemitismo no
15-year-old
colégio de elite
student
em
was
São
a
Paulo.
victim of anti-Semitism in an elite school in São Paulo.
Pelo menos 250 pessoas foram presas, incluindo estudantes e professores,
A lot of
durante
people were
manifestações
arrested during pro-Palestine demonstration in universities in the United States.
The United States stands with the people of Israel in the face of these terrorist assaults. Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. Full stop.
Bom, eu acho que depois
Well, I think
dessa
that after
esse banho de contexto aí, a gente
this
também
this
já foi
context
mencionado
that we
pelo
received,
Rabino Joseph,
we have been
o
mentioned
mês
by
que nós
Rabbi
estamos, o mês
Joseph,
de Elul,
the month
que a
that we are in
gente
month of Elul.
resolveu, que a gente
We
dedicou para tratar
decided
esses
to
temas em
dedicate to
particular,
these
não à
topics in
toa.
particular.
E
It was
agora o
not for
terceiro dos
nothing, right?
cursos
And the third
que a Academia
course
Judaica
that the
oferece
Jewish
nessa
Academy is
temporada
offering
é
in this season
preparatório
is
para as grandes festas,
preparation
mas não
for
como
the
aconteceu em outros anos.
festivities, but
É
not like we did in previous
momento
years.
diferente
This is a different
e
time,
assim como o meu curso
and
fala sobre
as well as my
poesia,
course talks
no
about
dele também vai
poetry,
tratar sobre algumas
his
poesias.
course we
Afinal de
will
contas, a
also
nossa
see some
liturgia
poetry,
é
because our
composta
liturgy
também
is made up
por
with
poemas litúrgicos
theme
que foram
liturgic
escritos em
poems
outras
that were
épocas.
written
E
in
qual é o
different
sentido que eles
times,
fazem para a gente
and
hoje?
what
Né?
sense
Então,
does
toda
it
essa
make to
preparação
us now?
vem. Eu
So
queria
all
que
this
o Rabino
preparation
Ruben nos
comes, and now I
contasse
would like
o que
Rabbi
ele
Ruben
preparou
to
para a
tell us
gente,
what he has
o
prepared for us.
o que ele pode trazer de
What can he
degustação
bring
que
for
nos
us
diga
that
que é
to
imperdível o seu
tease
curso.
us about the course? Why is it Why can we not miss this course?
aos momentos
Well,
mais
people come to
famosos por lado, mais potentes por
some
outro
moments that are
do
very
calendário
potent.
judaico, que são
This is one of
os
the most potent
chamados, as
moments of the
chamadas
Jewish
grandes festas,
calendar.
Rosh
That's
Hashanah
what
e
we
Yom
call the
Kippur,
great festivities, Rosh
se
Hashanah and Yom
preparam
Kippur.
com
And they
bastante tempo para
prepare
isso, alguns
with
mais,
some
outros menos,
time in
e
advance. Some people
chega o
prepare
grande
more,
dia,
other less. But
e
then
aí
on
as sinagogas estão
the day,
repletas,
the
e as
synagogues are
pessoas
filled with
se vestem de
people,
branco muitas
and people are
vezes,
dressed in white
depois
several
preparam
times,
o jantar de Rosh
and then they
Hashanah,
prepare the Rosh
ou o
Hashanah
jejum de Yom
dinner
Kippur,
or
só que a maioria
the Yom
das horas se
Kippur
passam num
fast.
espaço
But
pouco
most of
visitado
the
durante o ano,
hours happen in a place that
e
is not
com
visited very frequently throughout the year,
textos, uma literatura,
and with
umas
text, the
palavras
literature,
muito pouco
words
entendidas.
that are not very
Essa
well
é a
understood.
verdade.
This is the
Essa é
truth.
a verdade. Não preciso ser rabino de 26 anos de rabinato e 4
I don't need
países
to have
e
26
57
years
anos
of
de idade
experience in
para saber isso.
rabbinate
Todos sabem isso.
to know that.
Todos sabemos isso.
Everyone knows that.
Algumas pessoas conseguem
Some people
no
are
clima
able
chegar muito longe.
to
Algumas
reach
outras
far, but
conseguem
some people are able
nos relacionamentos,
in their
nos seus próprios
relationships
encontros com si
and in
próprios e
their
com o divino.
meetings with
Mas eu tenho certeza
themselves.
que são
But
muito, muito,
I
muito
know
poucos os
that
que
there are
conseguem
very
fazer isso
few, the
realmente
ones who are able to
com o que está
really
escrito dentro do
do
livro que
that
tem na
with
mão.
what's written
E
in
que
the books
passamos
at their
horas
hands.
e horas e horas e horas
We
e horas e
spend
horas e horas
hours
e
and
horas
hours and hours
só repetindo
with this
ou escutando
repeating or listening
ou
through this
interrompendo o
book,
texto porque não
or
entendemos ele, então
interrupting the
começamos
text
a
because
pensar
we
em outras
didn't understand it and we start to think
ou
of other
conversar sobre
things
outros assuntos.
or talk about other
Muito bem,
issues.
então
Well,
resolvemos na Academia
so we
Judaica
decided in the Jewish
quebrar
Academy to break
esse iceberg
with that
essa
iceberg,
distância que nos separa
with this
do momento no
distance
qual foram escritos
that
os
separate
escritos
us
e
from the
construir
moment when these
pontes
texts were
profundas,
written
individuais,
and
entre
bridge
nós, no
deep
século XXI,
bridges
nossa
between
individualidade,
us
nossa
in the
personalidade
21st century,
e
our
eles.
personality
E para
and them.
isso, vamos ter 4 encontros.
And for that,
Vocês
we
só
have
dão para cursos
4
inteiros, mas
meetings.
nós vamos escolher algumas
We are
pérolas.
going to
Por exemplo, você
choose a
sabia que
few.
Kol
For
Nidrei, a
example,
reza mais famosa do Yom
did you
Kippur,
know that the
é
most
uma
famous prayer of Yom
negação
Kippur,
de todas as
it's a
promessas que vamos
denial
fazer
of
no
all the
futuro.
promises
No
that we are
futuro.
going to do in the
Kol Nidrei
future?
começa dizendo isso.
It
Tudo
starts
que eu
saying
vou
that
prometer
everything that I'm
a
going to
partir de agora
promise
e até o ano
from
que vem,
this now to the
saiba
next
você,
year,
Deus,
just be informed,
saibam vocês,
God,
os que convivem comigo,
you
saibam
who
vocês os que ainda não
live with me
estiveram comigo
also
e não
should
escutaram
know,
as promessas
and
que
the
ainda não
ones
fiz.
who haven't heard the
E saibam as
promises that I
gerações que
haven't
trouxeram até
done,
aqui.
the generations
Eu
that
posso
brought
mentir
me this far,
tranquilamente, porque não vou cumprir nada. Porque
I can
agora já
lie
estou
because I'm
declarando
not going to
que nenhuma
fulfill
delas tem
anything.
nenhum
I'm
valor.
already saying that any of these promises, all
Senhoras e
those
senhores,
promises, they have no
esse é
value.
o texto mais sagrado da gente.
This is our sacredest text.
Isso é literalmente o que significa
This is
Nidrei.
literally what it
Textinho desse
means.
tamanho.
And it's a
Que repete
text
isso
this
que acabei de
size
dizer
that
de
repeats
4,
what I
5,
have
6,
just
7 formas
said
diferentes que
in
temos na
several
tradição
different
judaica de fazer
ways
promessa,
that we have in
voto,
our
compromisso.
promise, vow, commitment. How come?
É isso que santificamos os judeus?
Is this
Disso
what
se
we
trata?
Jewish people sanctify? Is this what
Dizer de
it's all
antemão que
about?
tudo que for
To tell
me comprometer
beforehand
não vai
that
me comprometer mais.
everything that is going to, every compromise that we're supposed to make, it's
Qual é a
not going to
história?
be, I will not be held
Que mais?
to that anymore.
Com certeza
What
tem
is the
muito
history
mais.
of this
Vai ter que
text?
vir ao curso.
What else does it say? But it
Unetane
does say a
Topes
lot more,
é
but
a
you have
grande
to
reza de
come
Rosh
to
Hashanah
the
e Yom Kippur
course
da
to
manhã,
know that.
desses dois
The main
eventos.
prayer of the
Unetane
morning,
Topes significa
Unitane Talk,
demos
means
relevância, demos
we are
validade,
relevant. We are valid.
valorizemos
Let's
esse dia. Unetane Topes
value
nos trata
this day.
a santidade
Netane
desse
Talk.
dia. Quem é
The
que dá a
sanctity
valorização a
of
esse
this
dia?
day.
Aparentemente
Who
somos
will
nós.
value
Como
this day?
fazemos?
We will. How do we
Jejuando,
do that?
repetindo, conversando,
Fasting,
vindo nas sinagogas,
talking,
comendo.
going to the
O que
synagogue,
consiste?
eating. What
Qual
does
é a
it
viagem que
consist
devemos
of?
realizar para que
What
aconteça isso?
is
O texto diz,
how far we have to travel to make that. A powerful shofar is blown, but only a murmur is heard. What is this murmur? The text itself says that life and death are written in the book, and it has the trace of the hand of every human being. And the text continues by saying that God revisits each one of us and our action as if we were the lamb in front of the herder, and who will live and who will die. So who writes this book? Who decides who is going to live and who is going to die? Is it God? Or is each person's hand? Apparently, the text says both. But the text is not sick. The text is profound, is challenging. If you give it a chance to study it, you will see that it's worth it. But before all of that, we are going to meet with the Silichot service. Silichot is a magical service that is done in the wee hours of the morning, in the previous week before Rosh Hashanah, and during all the month of Elul, in the case of Sephardi. It means forgiveness. Most people I know, I've known in these 57 years of life and 26 of rabbinate, most people don't know it. And the few people that know this text and are fascinated by this text like I am, have not been able to understand 20% of it. Because it's a complex text, it's a crazy text, and it's very boring. It's really boring, it's dense. But the experience in the early hours in the morning is magical. But why the early hours in the morning? Can't we do that in a regular people time? You know, we'll study that in the first class. But prayer in Jewish tradition has three moments: Shacharit, Mincha, and the last one I couldn't understand. These three moments, morning, afternoon, and night, are defined in Jewish law. It's not each person. Not everyone knows how to work Judaism. We have to discuss everything and create many rules, right? So there are Jewish rules that say what time is the morning, when it starts and when it finishes, when it's the afternoon, when it starts and it's finished, and the night as well. You may imagine that this time encompasses 24 hours. In one version, yes, but not in the other. And there is a time that is out of time. And in this time, out of time, that we say the Silichot as a suspension of time, a moment in which people have to leave existence in order to look at themselves and look at the whole. The movement of forgiveness will be one of the issues that we're going to discuss, and we will discuss 9 issues that revolve around forgiveness: the forgiveness that we ask for, the forgiveness that we grant, and the forgiveness that we receive. Basically, that's what we're going to deal with in our course. We are coming to an end. So I believe that Rabbi Kelita also wants to, she's the one who commands all this enterprise that is the Jewish Academy that's growing, expanding. She will tell us also a few secrets of how this is going to work and how this course in particular, because it's for deep preparation for the festivals and has to do with community life, how this will have a special status. We thought at first for just the members of CIPI, but we it will be open for everyone through CP. Please, could you explain? Yes, I will after we watch a brief video, and then I will explain for all the people present.
Como pedimos, entregamos e recebemos
How
o
do we
perdão?
ask for, deliver, and receive forgiveness in Silichot? How can we have free will and God conserve power? Who lives and who dies? How do we erase the promises before we formulate them? And what are the gates that are closed at the end of Yom Kippur and which ones are not? These and several other questions are going to be analyzed in between the lines of the prayers of the great festivals to re-signify them and make them be profoundly significant for you and for us. Participate in our course.
Bom,
Well,
começando então por
so
este curso
starting
que acabou
from
de ser
this
apresentado,
course
que vai
that
ser
was
ministrado
just
pelo Rabino
introduced
Ruben,
and that will
a-
be
a
taught by
Academia
Rabbi
Judaica,
Ruben,
através
the
da
Jewish
CIP,
Academy through CIP
oferece para toda a comunidade
is offering
judaica,
for the whole Jewish community
a toda a comunidade maior,
and the
a
community, the
oportunidade
broader
de se
community,
preparar
the
para as grandes
opportunity
festas em forma
to
gratuita.
prepare for these
Esse
holidays
é
in a
presente de
free
Rosh
of
Hashanah,
charge.
e que a
This is a
gente
Rosh
tem um
Hashanah
prazer enorme
present
de
for
poder
all of you.
anunciar.
We are very
A
glad to
gente
be able to announce this.
entende que
We
não
do
só uma forma
understand
de
that it's not
retribuir as
just a
pessoas
way
que estão,
of
que estiveram
paying back
conosco ao
to the
longo do
people
ano,
who
mas
were with
também
us
de
throughout
poder
the year, but
chegar
also
a outros
to
corações
reach
e a
new
outras pessoas que também
hearts, new
tenham essa
people,
oportunidade.
so that they can have
Cursos do
this
Rabino
opportunity
Joseph
as well.
e o
The
meu,
courses of Rabbi Joseph and mine.
o curso, sim, então o
Oh,
curso
all right.
do
The
Rabino Ruben vai
course of
acontecer aqui na
Rabbi
CIP,
Ruben will
em
take
forma
place here at
presencial
CP,
e híbrida.
presentially and
A gente
hybrid.
tem algumas pessoinhas,
We
como
do
o
have
Carlos,
some
que
people
vive
like
perguntando
Carlos
pra gente
who
quando vão ter os
always ask,
cursos
when are we
presenciais.
going to
A gente
have
já sentiu na Academia
in-person
Judaica
courses?
algumas
We have
experiências
had a few experiences
nessa
in the Jewish
transição, essa
Academy with
tentativa
this
de
attempt
encontros
at
presenciais dessa
transition
aula aberta
with
e todas as outras que
presential
fazemos, são
courses.
parte
This
desse
class and the
movimento,
others that we do are part of
e
this
a gente sempre
movement.
também pensando na
And we
acessibilidade também das
always
pessoas
think
que
about the
não têm a
accessibility
possibilidade de
for
chegar,
people who
né?
may
Então,
not be
ela
able
vai
to
acontecer de
come.
forma
So
híbrida,
it will be
desafio
hybrid.
tecnológico
It's
que a
a
gente
technological
vai
challenge
se debruçar
that,
para que não só
but
para
we
que
are
seja
going to
transmitido,
embrace
mas
it.
para
It's
que as
not only
pessoas que
to
estão em
transmit
outros
the course,
estados,
but so
também em
that people
outros
that are in
lugares
different
que não têm
states and other
possibilidade de estar
places and they cannot
fisicamente aqui
be
também
here
possam
physically, so
participar
that they are
de
able to
forma
participate
igualitária com as
as
pessoas que estarão
well in an
presentes.
equal manner to the people who will be here. So it's hybrid. It's both of them at the same time. It's presential and online. People at home can see the people here can see the people online, and we can talk to each other, right? This is our main challenge and the challenge of the technology as well, right? We do hope that we will be able to succeed.
A gente vai ter
We will have this course. This course will take part every Thursday. So every Thursday, please write in your schedule, think about the traffic, how far it's going to take you, how long it's going to take you to be here. It's not going to take place in a small room because we believe that such as Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we need to open that other part in the back over there. We do hope that in the preparation, this can also happen.
O curso
Now, the
sobre
course
poesia israelense
about
pós 7 de
Israeli
outubro,
poetry
e o
post
curso do Rabino
October
Joseph
7 and the course
sobre
of Rabbi
os
Joseph
acontecimentos
about
pós 7 de
the
outubro nas
post
universidades
October
e na mídia
7
e
events that happen in the media and in the universities, and the impact of this in our condition as Jewish people will take place on Wednesdays, mine on Mondays. So Mondays, Wednesday, and Thursday, as of next week, you will have a new round of courses, and the one of Tuesdays continue as well. There's the one with Professor Yoel Schwartz that is taking place it's being broadcast from Israel. In August and September, we have dedicated 7 courses, a round of 7 courses with this idea of helping us to process a little better our experience of the October 7th based on different perspectives, different outlooks and topics. So Mondays, poetry, at Tuesdays, the course about comparative analysis of the pogroms and the October 7th under this light, right? And on Wednesday, we have the anti-Zionism of Rabbi Joseph's course and how it has the repercussions in Brazil and the US. And then on Thursday, me, right? And the Friday, Kabbalat Shabbat, so that you have the whole week to be with us. Yeah, but every time is at the same time, 7:30. Yes, from 7:30. On Tuesday, they start at 7 because of the time zone, because it's the middle of the night in Israel. Yes, the professor needs to sleep a little bit more, right? Yes, right. So these are the invitations that we pose to you. Any other reminder? The vouchers for discounts you can talk to Fernanda about. Fernanda will help you and facilitate your participation in our courses. If you have any doubts, please talk to us. We really hope our goal is to provide an appropriation of this cultural heritage that belongs to us as a 5,000-year heritage. We want to have it in our baggage, inside our selection of what we are going to take to the new generations. All right, if there is any questions from the people here, any observation, or suggestion, or criticism, if you can talk now or forever hold your peace. And those who are not present here, who are in the live transmission, maybe you can send us some written feedback if that's the case. We also have a few minutes left, so if you want to say now, and then we have a pause to before our next event, that is 6:30, a special prayer to pay homage to the 6 hostages that were assassinated, the end of their Shiva, and the 11 months of the Kaddish for the parents, for all the victims of the massacre that started on October 7th. Until then, we have a few minutes again, so if you want to say anything, if you have any suggestions, please, you can feel free to say it. Somebody asked about the courses. Are all the classes recorded? Yes, all of them are recorded, and they are available in our distance education platform at the Jewish Academy. So if by any chance a course takes place in a day where you may not be able to attend, you have another activity and you can't participate in the interaction, the recording will be available. Oh, by the way, it's also possible to choose a course and you do it asynchronously. But if you watch it far away, we don't have the debate, but at least you have the content. So in fact, all the courses that have been produced by the Jewish Academy from the beginning, they are available online. There are more than 70 courses, and some people are watching courses today that were created in 2022, for example. It is possible. Mondays and Wednesdays, yes, online, exactly. We also take this opportunity to say goodbye and thank, first of all, who was not able to be here with us today, but has allowed us to make it happen, our partners, our sponsors, and the possibility for us to offer free courses is because some people have been moved and mobilized to help us to propagate this knowledge in order to reach more people. We have received these sponsorships and partnerships in the cycle. For example, we have the partnership of Stanley Lust that has been divulged the information about our courses, and they also have been together with us in the purpose of combating anti-Semitism and other topics that we have in common. We have been working together towards that. And we also would like to thank our teams, our team that has worked tirelessly for this open class to take place, and also for all of you guys who came here to be with us, and the people who are with us online, Patricia, who is interpreting our course, Professor Joseph, that accepted our invitation to bring this course again to the Jewish Academy, such a challenging course for himself as well. And as he said last week, he said, I'm not going to teach this course, because so that you understand, how this has been intense to prepare this material, to deal with that, and to deal with the changes that the context brings to us. It's not easy. This is unforeseen. So Rabbi Ruben also, who is here in the curatorship of this work, with this selection that we have presented today of courses that are going under his curatorship and of that of our team. Thank you, Kelita. And also, I would like to thank you yourself, Kelita, because you are the one who makes it happen as well. So for now, we would like to temporarily say goodbye. We have 25 minutes until we are back to the tefillah at 6:30. Thank you all for being here with us. I hope that you do not make a choice and participate in all the courses, okay? So see you soon. See you presently for those who can come on Thursday, 7:30, and the others online. Also, Mondays and Wednesdays, I will be there listening and learning with Rabbi Kelita and Rabbi Joseph. Thank you, Jewish Academy. Thank you, all the CP as a whole, and Nathan, who is helping us as well. I'll see you soon.